Hello, my people. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time you're watching this. Welcome back to Reimagining the Workplace. This is the place where we talk about the workplace and how the workplace should look like and how the workplace should not look like. And in today's episode, we are going to discuss the church as a workplace and if the church as a workplace can be an abusive place, and how to navigate that, how to, first of all, in the first place, to look at the signs or to notice toxicity in the church as a workplace, if it's there, and how to navigate it. And in this episode, we are joined by my friends, Carol.
Hi.
We call her Carol MSINGI.
Yes.
She will introduce herself as we begin. So welcome and enjoy the episode. Carol, welcome to Reimagining the Workplace. I have been looking forward to interviewing you for a long time, and the day is finally here. Yeah, so please introduce yourself to the people.
Yeah. Hi, people. First, Keli, I'm so proud of you and what you're doing and these vlogs. It is so helpful. I've listened to some of them. I'm like, yeah, we need to listen to more of this. We need to be more honest about the workplace, because I think what you said somewhere that we spend so much of our life at the workplace, and so it needs to be a healthy space. So my name is Carol Nganga. I work at MSINGI. I am the team lead and founder of MSINGI Trust. MSINGI Trust makes the connections between faith, social justice, activism, and advocacy. So even as we're thinking about, so sometimes I am listening to your shows to be like, am I a good boss? Am I a good team lead? I am not sure. Like, hey. So now the shoe is on the other side. So am I leading our people? Well, I actually do not like the term boss. I prefer the term team lead, because you're leading. We are co-working together to push a vision ahead.
Yes. Okay. Sawa. So you guys now know Carol. She's going to share her handles, her IG, the MSINGI Talk platform, everything that she needs to share at the end of this show, so that you can also go and follow her. So Carol,
yes,
like I mentioned, today's topic has to do with the church as a workplace. And because we all understand the church as a workplace is the church is an institution like any other institution.
Yes.
And it's possible that there are elements of toxicity in the church as a workplace.
Yes.
And that's what we want to talk about today. So my first question would be, what does abuse look like for you?
In a church space?
In a church space, yes.
Wow. Yes. And I think one of the things, especially with the church, and why it's a ripe place for abuse, because people come there with a different mindset. When you get employed at a church, you have very rosy understanding of how, or thought of how that workplace will be like. So you think there will be kindness, the fruits of the spirit, gentleness, all of that. You think there are no deadlines. You think you think all of those things. But then also we need to look at it from two different perspectives. There's those churches that have large workforce budgets, and then there are those churches who rely on volunteers as well. So there's churches with an elaborate HR practice, and there's some which even though maybe they're big in terms of size and capacity, have not employed people, so they rely on volunteers. And so the volunteers are running the institution, but are not being paid to do that. So yes, definitely there is, as with any institution, where people are, where systems are, where there's a vision being pursued, there will be elements of toxicity, because we have elements of toxicity within ourselves as humans, and we are works in progress. But I think one of the reasons why the church is very ripe for toxicity is one, you do not go there expecting it, and two, sometimes it's from people whom you trust so much, your spiritual leaders, people who in the pulpit are saying these wonderful things, or are leading worship wonderfully, or are doing services wonderfully, and then you come back when they're leading a team one-on-one, it becomes very aggressive and very painful. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a good start.
Yeah.
Okay. So my next question would be, now that you've put that so well, as a pastor, Carol, because you're a pastor.
I ran away from that title. I ran. I'm like,
I know you as a pastor.
Yes.
As a pastor, have you worked for a church before as an employee? Because employees in the church, the associate pastor, the tea girl, the clerk,
yes,
the cleaner, person who cleans the church. Like, have you worked in the church before, and how was your experience? Would you care to?
I worked at the church. The reason I ran away from the title pastor is I honestly do not see myself as a pastor, but you guys refuse.
We refuse.
You refuse. I see myself as a mobilizer from the back, as someone who allows people and processes or conversations to happen. So the not like you, the normal, the regular pastor. So I did work in a church, and when I enjoyed it, I enjoyed it. It was really yes, I really did, especially when I was doing the leadership development with my peers. That was really helpful, because it gave me great skills that I'm still using till now. And my friends, I have friends for life from that leadership development space. It's people who we've grown with. We started our leadership skills were polished, at that time. So I have, and again, remember I said we are all people who have failings, and an institution that big cannot not have failings. And so there was some toxic elements in that space. And I think as we are thinking about how we are governing churches, we need to learn from the model of Jesus. I keep saying that, because there was a sense of equity and balance with how Jesus did things. What he ate is what the disciples ate. There was no rank and file. So if some people in that space struggle with really low wages, and then you look at the other side, the wages are some wages are 3-4 times, 5 times this higher than the ones on people on the other side. So one thing I think we need to consistently ask about is that what are just wages, especially when you're working at churches, when you're looking at gospel economics, what does just wages look like? Is it really fair for someone, even though you're a young person, you're an intern, is it really fair in this economy, in this world, for someone to earn 10,000, 9,000, 6,000? Yeah, even when you're 18, 19, 20 and you're living in your parents' house, and leaders have six-figure salaries, is that really godly? That's the first question that I would ask. And even the benefits of it. When you have a huge salary and you have insurance, then the interns, the people who are starting, don't have access. From that 6,000 is where you're meant to, when you get sick, is where you're meant to find health services from there. So my question is actually not a particular institution focused. My question is on the church as the body of Christ globally. When we have human resource within our space, will we use normal HR policies, or will we seek to do just economics for our people? So that all of us, you know how in the I think it's Ephesians or Acts, they say that no one lacked. Yes. Yeah. So everything was shared in community and no one lacked. So how do we reimagine the faith workplace in that everybody has enough
and nobody lacks?
Because sometimes the lack is just so dignifying, you know. And then the other thing is that, you know, what happens when what extra money does for you is it allows you to outsource some services. So imagine with your 10,000 salary, you still need to do laundry because you can't afford someone to come and do laundry for you. You still need to do, and you're working from 9 to 5 or even extra hours. So how are we supporting people to fully serve the kingdom? Because these are people who are serving.
The only person who is serving, it's not the pastor or the associate pastor who is serving. Even the cleaner in that organization is serving God. Even the deacon, even everyone else. And you've talked about that. I remember the church that I went to for a long time. And this is something that my friends and I used to complain about who were in the youth ministry. And the church had housing for the pastors. Like they took care of the house. I think the church had either bought houses for pastors, or it was paying rent for the pastors, and it was a fairly good estate that they used to live in. But the cleaner who used to clean and the guy who used to clean the compound, they used to live in a shanty, like, you know, those houses that was built around the church. It was a mabati house. It was like a 2-room structure. So one of the cleaner, the lady who used to clean, used to stay in one of the rooms, and the other guy who used to clean the compound used to stay in the other rooms. And yet they used to work. I remember this lady, once she would clean a whole church, you know, a church hall. She would clean it, mop it, and she would arrange, a duster, and then she would arrange the chairs, and everyone on Sunday would come to church, and they would worship, not knowing what happened behind the doors.
The labor
that Mabati house didn't have electricity, even though there's electricity around the church. Every other structure in the church has electricity. She did not have that. They did not have that. And me and my friends would really wonder, why is this happening? Why can't they get her, you know, a dignified place to live in? Yet they are paying a lot of money for these other pastors to live in 3-bedroom houses, very beautiful houses, in a
so,
good estate.
So that's what I'm saying, is that we need to biblically define what do just wages look like for if you look at the parable of Jesus about the person who, there's the one who came and worked from morning till evening. There's another guy who worked from 12, like differentiated, and there's a guy who came at 5 and was paid.
That's my guy.
Yeah. And that guy was paid the same.
Yeah.
That guy was paid the same. And maybe what Jesus is asking us to do is that we are all equalized, so that all of us who, there's a story, I don't know how true this story is, about some guy who went to NASA and there was a guy sweeping the NASA station. He was asked, "Oh, what are you doing here?" And he said, the sweeper said, "I'm helping put a man on the moon."
Wow.
Yeah. So because he understands that his role is very important and it's connected to the final objective of putting a man on the moon. So my sweeping here is connected to putting a man on the moon. And so in all our workspaces, so MSINGI's vision is a Kenyan church pursuing justice for all. So whoever is at MSINGI, even the accountant person who's tackling the math, what she's doing is helping the Kenyan church pursue justice.
Yes.
And I think that's how we need to redefine the workplace. So that then and this is, I will be told, this is impossible, this is communist, this is socialist, this is the I do more, but I'm like, we can reimagine what labor looks like. We can. Yeah.
Wow. I really love that.
Yeah.
Okay. Actually, you've answered one of my questions. I was going to ask if when you worked in a church setting, you felt represented equally, and whether you felt equity, there was equity, but you've answered that question.
Yeah.
The other question would be, would you, or you and your co-workers, now let's leave the leadership alone for a while, the team that you worked with, did you feel like they were good people to work with, like they were good co-workers, or were they problematic? Did you feel like you guys were working as a team, or did you sometimes feel like you were pursuing something alone, like you were not part of a team?
No, I loved my team. I loved the team that I was. Now, after I did internship and then I moved to another department, I loved my team. I loved that we were all passionate about helping people. Loved that people actually got out of their way to meet the needs of the people who came to them. So, and these people are still doing amazing things out here. So, and this is now where there was so much talent, so much love for people.
Would you care to like elaborate what you guys were exactly doing? Because it sounds like it was
it was meeting with people, mentoring people, working with students, needy students, visiting some of our members who are in crisis, who are living in poverty, who need just a helping hand. So that let me tell you, the best times were when we were out of the office, going into people's homes, eating mandazis, eating all of those things. I think the service to people, when when you're all seated around and the mother you've come to see, all she can afford is a mandazi and black tea. And we eat that and we are so happy. We are communing with that person. So we enjoyed it. We really did. We enjoyed going for road trips to be in a village somewhere and sit with those people, and then after that we just go somewhere and find a meat and we eat. And just visiting people, like as a team, visiting each other in homes and all that. That was really good.
Nice.
So those are now other things that in every workplace we need to cultivate relationship building. But then the other thing is that because it is still work, you need to know. So these are your friends, but they are really not your friends on the other side. If you understand what I mean. Because you're spending so much time with these people, but also the other downside to having such close relationships is that when the time comes for you to leave the space, you might feel betrayed. You might feel very, alone, because that's the other thing. When your people are working in church, they do not create friendships outside the church ecosystem. So your friends are your workmates and your congregants, and that is very unhealthy. Very unhealthy. And the reason that is because the hours are long. The hours are very long, and then the days that you're having off days, other people are not having off days. So if you're if you're working at a church, please find friends. Do not lose the friends that you had before you entered that workspace.
Mesky advice. Don't be lost in church.
Yes, don't be lost. Keep your balance. Enjoy your colleagues, but also remember they are not your friends.
Okay, so the next question would be, how was your relationship with your leader? Because this is a leader. You said you don't like the term boss, which is I agree. What was your relationship with your leader? Was it someone who you felt like you could approach freely and talk to when there were problems or issues or grievances in the office? Was it someone who was open to listen to you? And even if they were open, were they people who you felt like they heard you? Because it's very good for a leader to be able to listen to you, even if you're saying nonsense. Even if you're telling them nonsense and they don't agree with what your grievance is, it's very important for them to listen. Did you feel?
I had many leaders, and so like I can say one for here, one for there. But like the one of the leaders who was meant to be my mentor used my words against me. And so yes. So and I think our relationship was good, but then now as a leader, when I look back, I'm like, no, that was not right, So we come and, how are you doing? Like, what are you thinking about? I'm thinking that I've come to the end of my road. I feel like God is leading me out of here. Hey, wait, 2 months, 3 months later.
After you've left?
No, during, still there. When we are having a company fun day, calls me aside and tells me, you now need to write your resignation letter. Out of the, I was like, huh? And she's my ride home.
Why is she?
And she's my ride home.
Why is she like persuading you to write a resignation letter? Should that come from you?
And now those are the things within church spaces that we do not talk about. And I was like, I knew I was leaving this institution at the end of the month. No, at the end of the year. And so in my heart, even though I am a fighter for justice, I really did not feel like I needed to fight this. And it was very difficult. It was very, very painful. especially coming from someone who was meant to be your mentor, your leader, your guide, and all of those things. And so all of that, that handling of that transition, and that's the other thing that I think the church leadership spaces do not know. They don't know how to handle transitions well. They are called transitions in church. If you ever hear that someone has transitioned, just know they were fired. So,
wow.
So
now we know.
Yes. So I think because there's not elaborate HR procedures, and it's built on so much trust. Yeah. There's trust, there's camaraderie, and that's why I'm saying go there with your eyes open, right? Know that you can create friendships, but they're not your friends. They're your colleagues.
Wow.
It's tough.
And that's really hard because this is the church.
Yes.
It should be the other way around, because we know in the corporate world that is okay to say that. But is that okay to say
it
for
is
a church?
Very okay. For your sanity and your safety, please. They're your colleagues, they're not your friends.
Wow.
Yeah?
Wow. Okay.
Yes. Because the thing is, we go there, sometimes you go there, God has told you, go and work there. You know, so you think now this is my safe space, this is where, all of that. And yes, it can be your safe space, as all places do. But kitalipuka pia. And you need to, I think we are shocked and surprised when inalipuka, because this is the last place you thought that things would go haywire in that way. So go with your eyes wide open. Put your big girl pants on, big boy pants on, and say, tunaenda job.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hey, that's really, like, in my opinion, that's really sad to say about the church. It's the truth. I agree, it's the pure truth. But it's really sad given what the church should be, if the church was what it should be in the first place. Churches should be the best employers that everyone should want to work for a church.
Yeah, because you see, imagine, it's good if you do, let's say you do great, you take care of your workers in terms of not just the salary, but you also, like I was talking to someone the other day, and she was telling me how her colleagues, the organization she's worked with, colleagues have been there for 25-30 years, because that's a very good place to work.
Is it?
Where she was. So, and this is the other thing which should be a red flag. If there's high turnover, ask yourself why. If they have staff retention, if you find like there's someone who's been there and they've been there for 30 years, and you can see they're okay in life. So she was telling me how when they're selling things from the company, from the organization, staff gets first priority, and it's at 25% off.
Wow.
You see?
That's a
so
good
you
way to
then
build up your
then
workforce.
there's an academic plan so that you improve yourself. Someone who started as a receptionist, very young, and she's now a program manager.
Wow.
So it's this staff development that's very. So I think, was it Richard Branson who said, I saw that quote yesterday, it's like, make your, like, empower your people so well so that they are very high skilled and can go anywhere, but make your work environment so safe that they don't want to leave. That, because there's a difference when someone is consistently on LinkedIn searching Brighter Monday every week. You're on LinkedIn and Brighter Monday looking for work because you're not safe. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's go to the next question. the other question is, how did you, what part did you play in church? Like, no, the first question would be, how did you leave church, or as an employee in church? How did you live, and what part do you think you played, if any, in like propagating toxicity in church?
Propagating toxicity.
Yeah. Do you think like you played a part?
So I've told you how I left. Me, it was at a fun day.
Yeah.
I was told write your resignation letter.
You did.
And I did, because I knew my time was over. I knew it was coming to an end. I knew God had told me to start MSINGI. So I was really, like, at that moment, my heart was in turmoil. Because first, the thing is, I know I was looking at a brochure for the leadership development thing, and number 2 on that, my vision was to start an organization like this. So even before I started the work, I knew I was going to start an organization. I just didn't know how it was going to happen. It was one of those things you write down and you're like, so for me, it is not that I left, it is the how. Yeah? Because I was living Sikwang.
Yeah.
Yes.
Everyone leaves.
Yes, everyone leaves.
Yeah.
So the thing is not leaving.
Yeah.
It's the process of living.
Yeah.
And I think spaces we need to live well. We need to learn how to leave people, to tell people kwaheri nicely.
Yes.
Because there is time that was spent there. And so
you also give service.
Yes, and I
you
give service.
contributed something.
I did.
Yeah.
I did a lot actually. But then the other thing is that there were times for me I was like, because also the other thing is you can tell when you're a worker, you can tell when your services are no longer needed.
Yeah. Oh.
Yes, you can tell by what is being said, how it's being said, what's being given. So there were so many things that were happening, and I was looking at it. It's like, I can see it. I am seeing it coming 100%. And so some of the things I did, toxic things, I was like, I'm not giving reports. I'm waiting for you to ask me. I'm waiting for you to notice if you will ask. Yeah? So you see now that's toxic. And then you're seeing people. You're seeing people planning around you and about you. Sometimes I overheard conversations. You see, you're like, we are not 12.
I worked at a place where, sorry, don't forget. I worked at a place where I went to work, I showed up at work one morning, and someone who was working under me, that I had trained, they were clearly working under me, sent me an email copying the bosses, asking for a report from me. Hi Mercy, please send us this and this and this. Send us. And I was
you are no longer us.
Who are you?
You are no longer us.
First of all, I have been training you. You're uku under me. Who are you to count yourself in the ass?
But you see now that's a toxic trait.
I know.
For you on your end, because you see the way we've created the work environment is that
a subordinate cannot send me, cannot ask me for
why
something.
are you asking me? In an email and copying other people.
Copying bosses.
Yes.
Not hey. And I sent it. I sent that report.
Because now you knew the pecking order.
Yes,
and because you had benefited from that pecking order that was oppressive, that could summon people and copy and report in the way they want. So now you are on the receiving end.
Yes. And it was tough. It was a bad day for me. It was a bad day. And those were the first telltale signs, like you're saying. I could see things are happening here, and I'm being disposed.
Yes.
Pole.
Yes.
Because why is she doing my work? I'm the one who does that job. Why are you asking for that?
So you've done, like in class, my teacher told me you work yourself out of a job. So you had done your job well. You had worked yourself out of a job.
I like that.
yourself out of a job and brought someone up.
Yeah.
And I don't mind leaving. Leaving is normal. You will leave, and you left your mother's house. Leaving is normal. The how is the one that I think non-church and church spaces need to now work on, because for real, sick one. Yeah. You see, so, and I know this, I'm not here for life. Yeah, so it is the how. Yeah, so yes, I was, and sometimes I was just lax, because so when now I started seeing the signs, it's like, why bother? Why am I bothering? What is this? And the other thing is that also, and I will always be very grateful to this other leader who called me, and he was just passing, and he told me, Carol, your fire has died.
Wow.
Yeah.
It was that visible.
Yes.
Wow.
He told me, you are no longer
The
the Carol that I know. I do not hear you activating for people, because also I was comfortable in the sense that I was like, nalipwa. All this activism within me was silenced because I was comfortable, and that is unhealthy also for myself. So even I was being toxic to myself by being safe in a place that was not meant to be my the place I put roots in.
Yeah, and even stopping to do what you were doing that made you Carol.
Yes.
In that place.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Toxic.
So I was being toxic to myself as well. So I will forever be grateful to that leader. And so that is why I'm telling you, leaders in a chat space like that are all gifted in different ways. There's some who see, there's some who don't, there's some who use and abuse you, there are some who take advantage of you. But you need to be also careful about the voices you hear and who, because the other thing is that one leader one day can tell you very good things about yourself, then the next day with the same mouth it's a very discouraging things to you. And so you need to learn when you're in church spaces, listen to the voice of truth. Like I used to listen to Casting Crowns, that song, crying, like, but the voice of truth tells me a different story. Tells me do not be afraid, tells me this is for my glory. So it's like, which voices are you choosing to listen to? Yeah. And I'm not saying you're always right. Of course I'm never right. I mess up a lot. Learn from the messes. Learn from places where you're acting out of pride and also acting out of low self-esteem, not presenting yourself fully. Because things have been said. Actually, one of the other things I remember is I was meant to do a presentation on stage at that pulpit. I had never done it. So one of the main leaders asked, has Carol ever done something like that? And the answer was like, no. And he was like, let her not do it. A year later, I was speaking at a global platform. A year later, I was speaking at a global platform. So imagine if I chose to listen to, and the same voice had really affirmed me 2 years or 3 years ago, or a year ago, or something. So you need to listen. You need to learn yourself. Like, do not, when you're in chat spaces especially, do not forget what God has placed in your heart. You lose yourself, you lose your vision, you lose your voice, you lose, because now you're following this, but always follow God.
I know your work is to merge the justice and church activism. What do you think, or what solutions do you have for the church leadership, especially on how to go about handling church as a workplace? I know you've talked about some of them, huku katikati, but I would like you to give us like your thoughts.
For me, the first thing is just wages. Yeah, it's no one should be paid below, or just like we need to be generous with how we pay people within faith spaces. Sometimes we'll say no, we don't have enough, but if the highest paid leader is earning 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times than the lowest paid leader, is a problem.
There is.
Then you need to proper HR practices, reviews, proper terminations, pensions, and all of that. So put and follow proper HR practices. I think that's it. And kindness, man. I think being kind to being aware of the plight. Life is tough. And people are dealing with so many things. There's Keli, you might be, let's say you're a boss, you might be not, your kids have finished school, but then within your staff team there's someone who's just starting the motherhood journey. So how do we offer grace to each other so that then this becomes a place that celebrates living as we are working. So how are we in the seasons of life? How are we walking alongside each other? So, and not just celebrating or maximizing the seasons of the top leadership and diminishing the seasons of the person who's at the bottom. Yet, if you look at Jesus' example, yes, he had his 3, he had his 6, he had his 1, he had his 12, but they were all always seated in a circle. Right? They all ate together. Because even in the Last Supper, Judas ate.
Yes.
Judas was fed. Nah, Jesus knew what Judas was going to do the next day. Judas ate. And so we need to be radical in how we see people, in how we run it. We need to say we don't know as well. We need to keep learning and growing and being better.
Do you think the biggest problem with church as an employer is that they do not invest, especially now the mainstream churches that have the power to employ many people? Do you think the problem is, number one, they don't invest or in a good HR system or just an HR, and even if they do, the HR is like a puppet. They do what they are told to do. They are not given the power to act or to work as an HR.
Yes, exactly that. And also even with like people who, so what you said is 100% true. Investing in, and the HR might be very competent, very competent, but then if I'm the boss, I tell HR,
fire so and so. Without explanation or
with a very shoddy explanation. There's no first or second warning. There's no written, all those processes that need to happen. So yes, those processes, but I also think you need to seem like you care about the people themselves, and that's, as leaders, it's your kindness that goes a long way. it's your compassion when they're down. Of course, there are metrics. There are things that need to be done because work has to happen. Yeah, but they will. When you create an environment where and you're not just creating it for the sake, but you need to really, really care about people.
Yeah.
Really need to yes. And if you don't care about them, don't bring them.
Yeah.
Don't bring people in to want them.
Yeah.
And don't see them as a means to an end. Yeah? Because that's slavery.
Ooh.
Yeah? You see, when Pharaoh kept just add to them labor, and take away the straw that they need to be using. So you're asking people to work, but you're still taking away the tools they need to be working with. So we are. How different are we from slave owners? Yeah.
As a pastor again.
Where? You're titling me.
No, really, this is not about being a pastor or anything. I'm just teasing you.
Yeah.
But do you have a passage or a verse or any passage in the Bible that you think church leadership should really embrace? I know you've talked about a passage before.
Yes.
If you have another one, do you have another one that you advise leaders in church to really embrace as they lead people, as they lead a workforce?
I actually want to look for it because I want to the church in Acts where they shared everything in common and no one lacked.
Also,
Let me look just a minute. Now the company, Acts 4:32, now the company of believers was of one heart and soul, and not one of them claimed that anything which he possessed was exclusively his own, but everything they had was in common and for the use of all. Yeah? And I think there's another one that says that no one lacked. Yeah? So is the things that we have in common, the resources that we have in common, are we working towards dignifying all the workers? For me, dignity of labor is so important. Yeah, that there's no one who's been, undignified in the process of doing labor in the church, and also that no one lacks, man. Like, it is so painful to be in spaces where there's plenty, and you find someone crying in the kitchen because they don't have. Yeah.
That church has billions in their banks, bank accounts.
Yes. So if we are all working towards putting a man on the moon, let's all also, because the common objective is putting a man on the moon, but also please feed the people who are putting a man on the moon. Let them all be well fed.
Feed them equally.
Yes, and feed them well. Yeah.
Okay. So, any final remarks?
I just say I really, in all honesty, did enjoy the time that I worked in a faith space, in an institution. The people, the friends, some friends for life. Even though I said do not make friends. You see, ensure that then the only time that you're communing with them is not at that. So make space to have fun outside of work.
Yes.
Yeah. So then that's how you create relationships and friendships. And then just really honestly care about people. Because people know when you care. We know. We know when it
Even
is for sure. Yes, we know when you care. So be intentional in showing kindness, regardless of where you're working. Because the labor is important, and labor is a gift from God, and God in the Genesis story gave us the mandate to work. And so it is just to give a fair day's wages.
Okay, maybe I know we are done with the questions section, but I need to know, do you know of any church institution in Kenya, at least in Kenya, that does that? I don't know an institution, but I know of a Christian man who leads an organization who... And the organization is not a church, it's because of his Christian conviction. He's ensured that the insurance that he's on, even the intern is on the same insurance. There's no one who's earning less, even the interns less than 40,000 in his institution. And he had, because he came into this role when there was already such discrepancies, he said, cut my wages. Cut my wages so that all of us can at least have some. Kenyan Jesus. I'm telling you. He's an amazing leader, and he's doing a lot of good work in this country. And you see through the commitment that he has done. And you're like, yes, this is a true follower of Jesus. Wow. I love that. Okay. Sawa. Thank you so much, Carol, for making time for us. We are really going to be back because I feel like there are so many things that came up that we did not tackle. We'll be back for more. And before we close, I would like you to give them your contacts and everything in case they, and exactly what you do so that they know. So I work at MSINGI. I lead the team in, the goal is a Kenyan church pursuing justice for all. So we want to mainstream social justice in faith spaces. So we do that through many ways. Connections, conversations, and content creation. So we are on Facebook as MSINGI Trust, on Instagram MSINGI Trust. We have a podcast called MSINGI Talks, and there are a few. And on Facebook we did a lot of Facebook lives, especially during COVID. MSINGI Talks, so those are there. Please have a listen. They are also on YouTube on our MSINGI Trust page. So you can find me as Ndutanganga on Instagram. Okay. Thank you. Sawa. Please go follow her. You're going to like everything that she does. Carol is just someone that we all look up to, especially as Christians and Christians who really care about justice. And healthy workplaces is part of justice. That's why we are here, and that's why we are interviewing her. So thank you so much, guys, for staying with us, and please go subscribe to this channel, Reimagining the Workplace. We are going to bring you more of these interviews, and you're going to enjoy them. You're going to learn together. This platform is all about learning together and growing together and building a really healthy workplace culture, because that is important. It matters to God. God did not create us to suffer at work at all. At all. You'll be surprised. So go subscribe, and we love you so much. Thank you. Bye-bye.